Hey everybody, this is Tim Charron, and welcome to my brand new podcast called The Charron Zone. Blah, 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 blah. Download your free guide to booking gigs at howtobookgigs.com. Welcome to The Charron Zone. I am here with Sebastian Krys. How you doing, Sebastian?
Good, how are you? I'm quarantined. How are you doing?
I'm doing about as good as could be expected. We are in the middle of some unbelievably interesting times. So I just want to introduce Sebastian. He is a producer and mixer, a now 6-time Grammy winner, 12-time Latin Grammy winner. He has worked with Gloria Estefan, Carlos Vives, David Bisbal, one of my favorites, Shakira, Luis Fonzi, Ricky Martin, Will Smith, and Elvis Costello, which you got your last Grammy win for that project. So, I mean, we're definitely going to talk a bit about what's going on in the coronavirus and everything, but I'd like to first get to know what you're currently working on, what you're excited about right now.
Right now I'm working on 2 projects. I'm working on a new Juanes album.
Cool.
Which we're mixing right now. We just actually finished tracking right before everybody went into lockdown. And also working on another interesting project with Elvis that we just had mastered, which is a pretty unusual project, which he talked about, so I guess I can talk about, but I'm not sure. It's one of those gray area projects, but it's pretty cool. It's he gave me the masters of one of his albums, one of his classic albums, and wanted the songs translated to Spanish and had Latin artists sing on top of the original masters. So it's a fun. It was quite an interesting and fun experience.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you know
it was his idea.
Yeah. Do you know when that might be coming out?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine as when anything might be coming out now.
Oh, man. Absolutely. So seeing that the podcast is all about music, business, life, trying to just teach people, having the pros teach people what they can do to create breaks in their careers. What would you consider your first break in your career?
It's interesting. I mean, I had a pretty traditional trajectory, meaning, I studied sound engineering at Full Sail, and then I became an intern, and then I became an assistant, and then I became a recording engineer, and then I became a mixer, and then I became a producer. So it was a pretty kind of linear thing, which doesn't happen as much now. Mm-hmm. My first break was just getting an internship. Everything was sort of born out of that. I interned at Crescent Studios, which was owned by Gloria and Gloria Estefan down in Miami. My first big engineering break, I would say, was probably mixing and engineering Shakira's second album, mm-hmm. Which I auditioned for, as I've done many times before and since.
That's interesting. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
I'm a huge believer in working on spec. I've done a bunch of stuff on spec. Most of it turns into nothing, mm-hmm. but some of it turns into huge projects and career-making projects. So I've done it my entire career. I continue to do it. I will mix something on spec to try to get a gig, or produce a song on spec to try to get a gig, even at this stage of my career. I've done things on spec for people that I had already done albums for, where they're like, hey, thinking about using you again. Would you mind doing a track just to see what you would do now with this song? We understand that we had a #1 album with you, 3 years ago, and I get it, you can be egomaniacal about it, or you can earn your way into the gig. And understanding that if I don't do it, someone's going to do it.
Yep.
So might as well that someone be me, or at least me try to be that someone.
Absolutely. So it's really a way of, how should I say, investing in yourself, and also believing in yourself, to show that you're gonna show people, what you do, and that going into it, you'll know that you'll hopefully do a good enough job that they'll retain you. Well, and even at that level, that's amazing that you do that.
And I think that the other thing is also it shows people that you really want to do something.
Yeah.
Just the simple fact that, if you ask somebody who's established, and I've done it, I've asked established mastering engineers to master a song to see if they'll be the ones who get, the project, or I'll ask a mixer, to mix a song because I want to show the client. And the intent is obviously for them to get the gig. It's not just to, abuse of people's time. And I think that that's the thing. Is like, I would never ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that they should do it or they have to be comfortable with it. It's just, I just really believe in that. I believe that, an artist is searching, and maybe they want something new, but they really like working with you, and, they just need to be sure that you're the right person. And I get that. Listen, it's their project. It's,
mm-hmm.
It's producers or men, and then we're done and we move on. For an artist, that's their project, is their entire project. That's it.
And it's really, it's their name, it's their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not like, okay, I'm done being this artist today, I'm going to become someone else tomorrow. It's like, no, they're going to be that forever.
Yep.
So I get it, but yeah, always happy to do that.
Excellent. So basically, your first break was interning, and being an intern at Crescent Moon. That really got you on the path.
Yeah, I called the studio for 2 months straight, every day.
This is what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
This is the real stuff, man, that people won't do.
Yeah. And I couldn't get past the receptionist, and one day the receptionist was late, and the studio manager answered the phone. I said, I studied audio engineering. I'm looking for an internship. I live moving back down to Miami from Orlando. I'm in town now, and she's like, can you be here in half an hour for an interview? And I was like, yes, I can, even though I live 35 minutes away. I was like, I probably broke a couple laws, but made it to the studio, and then got a second interview with the chief engineer, and they hired me as an intern. And then after 3 months unpaid internship, I did not get hired. They didn't have a job opening. So that ended, and then about a month and a half later, I got a call at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Can you come in? One of our assistants is going on the road. We need somebody to fill in. And I went back and spent basically the next 12 years working either full-time or part-time at the studio, and did every job imaginable there.
Wow. That is absolutely an amazing, powerful, inspiring story. I mean,
this was 1991, and I remember the phone number was 305-663-8924, because I would call it every day.
Wow.
Seared in my mind. Just, every time I'd see a payphone, I'd stop, put a quarter in. No cell phones back then.
Yeah.
Not for not for poor people. I certainly didn't have any money. But yeah,
you didn't have any money, and then you went and did an unpaid internship. That's hardcore, man.
Yeah, I lived at home, moved back home. And, my dad had just had a heart attack, so I had to move back home and help take care of him. And it was definitely interesting times. But I was, my foot was in the door.
Yeah,
and that's all. I was like happy getting pastelitos and serving coffee and just being a fly on the wall and running errands and being in a real studio where they were making real records.
That's amazing. Like Bob Dylan once said, once I got my foot in the door, there's no way anybody's getting me out.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're gonna shift gears and go all over the place, and I'm going to ask you about Rick Rubin. And I was watching an interview with you, and you talked about your admiration for Rick Rubin. So you just want to talk a bit about that? I mean, I think like we talked about earlier, everybody seems to have admiration for Rick Rubin and for good cause. But
yeah, I mean, there's a couple of producers that I've always looked up to, a couple of people in the industry that I always looked up to. I mean, him being one of them, Jimmy Iovine being another one. The incredible thing to me about Rick Rubin is that every album that I would get that said produced by Rick Rubin sounded like the artist, not like Rick Rubin. Mm-hmm. Tom Petty records sound like Tom Petty. Red Hot Chili Peppers sound like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Slayer
sounds like System of a Down. Slayer sounds like Slayer. Beastie Boys sound like Beastie Boys. Yeah. And I think there's a real art to that. There's a real art to getting out of the way. And making an artist feel secure enough to be themselves, and I don't think there's a better. Just looking at his trajectory, I don't think there's a person who's done it in a more effective way than he has. And I've only met him once briefly. I heard him speak at a conference one time. And I have a lot of what he said seared into my memory. But he, a lot of people in the industry sort of say, well, he doesn't do anything. And I'm like, well, he doesn't do anything really well.
Amen.
So if he doesn't do anything and you do more than he does, and your records are your records and his records are his records, I'd rather have the guy that's not doing it.
Right, exactly. I'd rather not do anything myself. If I could not do anything that well.
Yeah, I don't know what his process is like, but whatever it is, it's brilliant. I mean, I just feel like the records that have his name on it always feel honest and truthful and true to the artist more than anything. It's never. I don't think I've ever heard a Rick Rubin produced record where I go like, yeah, he just missed the mark.
Yeah.
It's always great.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you a little bit about you had a role in one of the biggest worldwide smashes of the past couple of years, Despacito.
Right.
What was your role in that song? And
so I was A&R for that song. I had worked on several albums with Fonzi, and we had a lot of success. And I hadn't worked with him on the previous album he had done. And I had a pretty good idea of what I thought the direction was that he should go in. So I called him up. We're friends. I said, listen, I know that you're starting to write for your new album. I want to help you put the team together. I help you pick the songs and pick the direction. I said, I don't want to produce. I don't feel like I'm the right producer for what you need to be doing right now. You know, I don't want to be involved in that end, but I do feel like I can, you know, help you find the direction. And we did. You know, we worked. You know, when he wrote that song, which was very early on, it's a song that he, you know, him and Erika Ender wrote on an acoustic guitar, and you know, we worked on the arrangement with several different producers for over a year. You know, we knew it was a hit. We did not know it was that big. Nobody could have seen that, but we felt like, okay, this song has, you know, checks all the boxes. Did you
have any idea that it would cross over like that, or did you think it was going to be a big Latin hit?
No, we were just thinking, you know, he needs a hit in Latin radio.
Yeah.
That's really it. You know, we went through a lot of iterations of the arrangement, through a lot of producers. And, you know, several collaborations until we got the version. And it was, you know, but you know, we were clear in that we had something good in our hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. It was great to be a part of it, and it was great, you know. The production team of, you know, Andres Torres, Mauricio Rengifo, ended up the ones doing the production, and I was really, really happy about that. Just because at the moment, now they're, you know, incredibly established, but at the time, you know, this was a big shot for them, and they took it and they delivered. You know, and they really, again, they went through a lot of, like, they did like 5 or 6 arrangements of the song, so it was like, you know, they'd come back with something and be like, no. You know, and they'd come back again, and they come, but they were, you know, they were game, and they
just kept hacking at it.
Yeah, and they obviously had the goods to deliver, and we believed that they did. You know, it just needed time to evolve, you know, and to get to the right place. So, you know, it was great to be a part of it, you know. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I mean, Fonzi's just, it's what you'd hope every artist would be like.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of Americans know that someone like Luis Fonzi has had, you know, this amazing career for many years. He had the song of the decade in Latin Billboard for the 2000 to 2010.
Oh, really? You know, yeah, which was No Me Doy Por Vencido, was Song of the Decade. The biggest hit in the U.S. for a Latin artist of that day. So, you know, you can imagine, I mean, he's had, you know, tons of number ones. He's had huge successes, you know, throughout his career, and this was just one more. I mean, it was pretty remarkable to watch and be a part of it.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy, like you said. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy.
I was watching some interviews with you, and you said something that struck me, and I'd like to see if you can just speak about it a little bit. And your quote was, "My success is not mine." And if you could just, you know, what does that mean to you?
You know, it's talking about it. I think that a lot of people in our industry sort of, you know, they get a win or a success or a hit, and they think that it's because of their brilliance. and to me, it's like, you know, you create a song, and first of all, somebody's got to give you that shot. Second of all, and from the moment that a song is created to to it being successful, there's so many things that need to go right, and so many people that are involved in that. From managers to obviously the artists and the interpretation the artist gives that song and their art, to promoters, to marketing people. Just so much has to happen, and so much has to fall into place, and so many people's talents are involved in getting that piece of work, whether it's a video or a song or a TV show or a film, and get it out there and get it to people that might find it compelling. That I think it's just, I think that's one part of it. I think the other part of it is, when I was speaking about that, I was speaking also about education and mentors and teachers and people that really see something in you, and nurture that, and it's also, your parents, whatever, whoever that person might be that encourages you or pushes you to continue on your path, and I just think that sometimes we lose sight of that. It's like, you start believing your own bullshit, and it's like, no, man, it's somebody did something along the way to open a door or shove you through that door, or, encourage you or push you a little bit or push your limits. Even when you work with a difficult artist, they make you better, by just pushing you. So I think that's, you have to always be conscious of that, of understanding that, you get a trophy or you get, a hit on a chart, and there's a lot of unsung people that made that happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to always have that at the forefront, when you're having success, as well as, when something isn't successful, own it. It's the batting average is generally not good.
Yeah.
Even for very successful people.
Absolutely. So, speaking of which, what kind of advice would you give to? This is kind of a two-part, maybe one answer. What would you tell yourself, like a younger Sebastian? You as a 21-year-old, and in that, kind of what advice would you give someone who's at the beginning of their journey and wants to basically do what you do?
Well, the advice I heard very early on was actually, there were a couple of things that really stuck with me and helped me out. One was, even though I wasn't a big basketball fan, I was a big soccer and hockey fan, it was a basketball analogy, and it was like, the analogy was, the best team doesn't always win. It's a team who makes the least amount of mistakes. So I think that making decisions and trying to avoid making mistakes as you're going along your journey is really helpful, because a mistake will generally cost you a lot of time. And, it's important to fail and you learn from all that, but it's also important to just don't make dumb decisions, as you're going through your journey, and take your time. Take your time in making sure that you're ready for when the opportunity comes. I was pretty deliberate when I was coming up.
Wow.
I turned stuff down that I wasn't ready for.
Wow.
Which is, because I was like, this looks like an opportunity, but I know I can't, really shine because I don't have the skill set to make this opportunity, turn this opportunity into something good. So it's actually a mistake.
Man, that's incredibly self-aware, and I think incredibly patient. And I think a lot of people, I've certainly been guilty of this in my life, but I think a lot of people lack that patience, patience to say, I'm not really ready for this. Because then, like you're saying, if you try to take an opportunity and you're not ready for it and not prepared, not skilled, whatever the case may be, you can really set yourself up for a failure that will have a very negative consequence for you moving forward.
Yeah, and something that could be really damaging for a while, and that you may never recover from.
Totally.
You only get, So I did that a lot. I would have very sort of moments where I'd be like, okay, am I going to succeed, or do I have a shot at succeeding at this? And when the answer was definitely not, I'd be like, I appreciate it. I'm just, I would figure out a way to not do it. Just take my time. And when I was ready, I felt like I was ready. I felt like, when I had the shots and I was like, oh yeah, I can, I know I can do this. I would go into it confidently and I'd shine. That's one thing. The other thing I would tell people, which I tell people all the time, is figure out what people don't like to do and learn how to do that.
You're speaking into my life right now.
That's how you get your foot. There's a lot of shit I hate to do. And that's how I hire people. I go like, well, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to, do you know how to edit? Do you know how to install software? It's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just I don't like it. I'd rather pay. It's like yard work. Some people find it therapeutic. I find it really therapeutic to pay somebody to do the yard work.
I am right there with you.
Yeah. You know what? Here you go. I'd rather pay you money than just be out there doing it myself. So I think that's it. I mean, we'll I'm sure there's stuff I would do differently. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the way things sort of evolved in my career and the way things turned out. And I don't have a lot, some things that were very difficult through the lens of perspective were things that needed to happen and things that maybe didn't work out. Now I look back and I'm like, well, that's a good thing that didn't work out. And then there's things that didn't work out that I go like, well, I wish that would have worked out. But at the same time, I think it's presumptuous to look at something that you could have been a part of that's highly successful that maybe you weren't a part of and think that it would have had the same success had you been a part of it. Totally. Like you can't be like, oh man, I missed out on that. It's like, no, you might have fucked it all up, So it's actually a good thing you weren't a part of it, and how those people could have their success.
Absolutely. Man, this is really, really great for people to watch this and to listen to this and get the real, authentic, honest story behind your success. It means a lot to me for you to come on and share this with people. I think these things are really important. For people who really want to be successful, these are the things and the way to approach things that a lot of people don't see. A lot of people just see success and they put it on a pedestal and they don't see all the patience, the being methodical about opportunities that you do and don't take. I mean, I think it's just phenomenal that you're sharing this with us. I appreciate it. And I'd like to kind of wrap up with, just talking about the obvious, the things that are going on in the world right now, and I know that you, with the coronavirus and everybody being isolated, I know that you started doing an online, was it like an online class or something that you?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out. We're not charging or anything like that. We're not trying to make money. I just figured that, it's rare that we all have a bunch of time on our hands. And if you can connect with people and help people out and give people a little bit of an escape, I think it's as useful for them as it is for me. So this morning I woke up and I was like, we should just do a production class, and I reached out to some people that I work with, and we figured out the technical aspects of it, and had about 30-40 people online and asking questions, talking about production and the business, and we'll do some more, and I think that we need to. We need to stay connected and not just through Instagram, and connected in a real way with each other. I think a lot of every industry is going to suffer tremendously. I think about my friends who would make their living being on tour, whether they're artists or engineers or producers or techs. I think of friends who are concert promoters. Who work at Live Nation and AEG and these companies, and managers. All of a sudden it's just like it's done.
Yep.
It's not that that things are we're going through a rough patch. It's like it's shut down.
Yeah, it's not slowing down. It's down.
It's down. Yeah, like the systems are down.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to need each other, and our community is going to have to rally together, because when we're no longer down, when we're back up, we're going to have to help prop each other up, and I just I feel like right now we're in the middle of this hurricane, and we just got to help each other through the storm, doing whatever we can, and what we know how to do is music. So if we can share some knowledge, make some music, pass the time, have it not feel as heavy as it's gonna feel. Yeah. This is just the beginning of this. We're gonna need each other. We're going to need each other to keep this into turning to, so this doesn't turn into Lord of the Flies in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how it shakes out. But I just, I figure if I can share some information with people, then great. And if people find it useful and they can apply it, then great.
Yeah. Mm. Excellent. Like we were talking about before, I think, for me, I'm just brainstorming and putting together different ways of connecting with people, with other musicians, and with music fans, and just trying to, build more of a community online, seeing that we're restricted to that. But just trying to help people feel like, and myself, trying to help people feel like they're not as isolated as they might feel, and it's also for myself, so that I can feel like I'm not as isolated as I feel, and engage in and create more communities online while we have to go through this, and everybody stick together, and we the only way we're going to make it through is if we work together. So
that's it, man. Well, you take care of yourself, and let's we'll get through this.
Absolutely. Exactly good point. Where can people find out about your courses and or any info on you? Like, do you have a website or?
generally speaking, on Instagram or Facebook, they can, through there we'll make announcements, and we'll do it all through there.
All right, cool. I will add some links to the show notes, and we'll go from there, man. Thank you so very much for being on and sharing your story, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure my listeners and everyone watching appreciates it.
Yeah, send me the link. I appreciate it. I'll share it when it's out.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Take care.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye.